Welcome to the first global digital launch of the new models made by Sunseeker, the new Predator 55 Evo and the new Manhattan 55. Both are made in Dorset in Sunseeker International by our strong and passionate workforce. We work it all together very strongly to deliver this year 5 new models that all the company was involved, starting from design to realization and completion. Now you're going to see first the 2 boats, the Manhattan 55 and the Predator 55 Evo, but then you will see very shortly the other 3 new models that all together makes the fabulous 5 that we are going to introduce this year. And so sit and please relax and enjoy this wonderful presentation of new models.
As the Sunseeker brand started evolving in the 70s and 80s, early on in its history, there was 2 very distinct directions. One being the open, performance-oriented boat, and then more as we moved into the 80s, the flybridge. Now those 2 models and those 2 ranges had very distinct attributes at that point. Performance being open, all about the sun, wind in your hair, whereas the flybridge range was more looked at as a northern climate boat. And it became obvious though, as clients started to use the different models in the primary Mediterranean areas, that there was a real crossover. So whereas you had the big open sports boats, clients wanted shade, they wanted canvas tops, enclosures. And the clients using the flybridges suddenly started saying, we're great with the space, it's great volume, but what about performance? We still want to have a performance that we see with the open style of boat. So both of these ranges evolved. The flybridges became Manhattans, 52 Caribbeans when we first started, and they suddenly became a much more beautiful silhouette, coupled with great performance, but still giving the client that flybridge space and volume. The open boats, the performance boats, became Camargues. They became them Predators, which had hard tops, more enclosure, full doors across the cockpit, and they had evolved into something very different and very unique to the Sunseeker range. But we didn't stop that evolution. Listening to clients, listening to dealers, looking at how they were using the boats in the marketplace, it almost turned again on its head, with the Predators wanting more ability to open the boat, carbon fibre and glazed roofs, drop down through the deck doors to open up that cockpit space. The flybridges wanted performance, they wanted the look, but they also wanted that increased space. With the advent of more accessible stabilization, suddenly these flybridge clients, these Manhattan clients, were considering going away not just for weekends, but for weeks on end, even at the smaller end of the range. So now let's take a look at the final evolution, the latest evolution, the Predator 55 Evo and 55 Manhattan. So here we are back in Shed 3 to the home of the Manhattan 55, and also very close to where we do all the testing for the stunning new Predator 55 here in the main shipyards in Poole. And I've got with me Ross Donahoe, he's a technical sales manager for the Pred 55, and Gemma Neal, design manager, product manager for the Manhattan 55. So now's our chance to really dig in some real questions about what's made, how these products have evolved over the last year during the build process. So if we start with you, Gemma, obviously looking after the Manhattan 55, it's got a tough job, you know, replacing the Manhattan 52 that we built, I think, just over 130 boats. So maybe run us through. Let's start with the key to many clients. Let's talk about the performance. So what changes were made in engines and performance side of the Manhattan?
Yep. So we've gone for bigger engines in the shaft drive on this boat. We've got the IPS and an IPS version as well. So there's two reasons really to go for the bigger engines. We're seeing increased weight due to customer options, due to higher spec interiors, and we're also seeing that you can actually get more efficiency at our mid-range speeds, so higher ranges as well.
So that's really interesting. So quite rightly, and I think Ross will probably agree with this as well, the Pred, is although we're building the boats lighter, I think we'll see that later in a minute on the filming, that what we're seeing though is increased options. So gyros, you're fitting a lot of gyros on the Manhattan?
Yes, so it's gone from fin to gyros, which are in the engine room on the centre line to try and minimise that impact, but they are
so
heavier.
Added weight though?
It is, yeah.
And we're seeing a lot more interior feature, which we'll talk about in a while. So although we've got a lighter hull, lighter structure, we're seeing increased options, increased client demand for more equipment, but then so we've upsized the engines as well. So going up to the Volvo D11s, so giving us that extra amount of power to really still maintain that speed. But you think you both agree that at cruise, potentially even less fuel consumption?
Yeah, I would 100% agree on that. I mean, it's two things you've got to look at this. So for example, the Predator 55, we've gone from a D8 600 to a D11 725 engine option. Not only the speed performance has increased from about 31 knots to 33, solid top end speed, but just being able that ability to cruise, reduce the engine RPM, reduce the engine load, that ability just makes a huge difference. Also, we have to consider as well about 6 months' time with a bit of fouling, where the boat's under a bit more load, a bit more people, has that ability to still sustain that top speed that people are always looking for on a Sunseeker.
That's brilliant. So we've really listened to the clients. We've understood what their demands are and options across both boats. We've increased the ability to carry weight, carry more toys, tenders, sea bobs. We've gone up engine sizes. So the Manhattan 55's gone up to a D13 800 from the D11, and the Pred 55's gone from a D8 to a D11.
That's correct, yeah.
So really on both boats, big increase in power, accommodates the client options but still maintains the speed.
Correct.
So I think before we move on to the options more particularly, let's cut to a quick look through we did of the hull moulding last week to give you an idea of what sort of materials we're using on the Manhattan 55. So, Manhattan 55, we're actually building close to 22 of these a year. So literally every 12 working days, you've got a 55 being complete, going into testing completion, and ready then for delivery to a client or dealer. But that 12-day build period at the final end actually starts with a whole 3-month period with moulding starting right here behind us. And just look at the scale of the mould. It's incredible. I mean, you can just about judge the 55 feet here, but the scale then just gives you an idea of the accommodation we're able to get into this 55. Now, she is hand laid, so it's quite a traditional process of hand laying the materials into the mould. But that's probably where the old traditional hand layup stops. If you look just on the whole sides here, you can see for a start the implants on the hull side, which takes into account all the window shapes. So what this allows to happen is that you're not creating a whole mould and then cutting in windows, then having to repair that and make good the strength. It's all included very early on in this moulding process. You also see that she's quite a complicated shape, with the half knuckles, the window bands, and there's even a curvature to that hull. And again, in traditional ways, traditional methods of using maybe a balsa core for the interior structure just wouldn't be suited to this type of layup. So a lot more modern technology has been used in the materials. And just to give you a good example, so on the hull sides, where you maybe have quite a complex shape to fit around, we use something called a Divinacell foam. And you'll see that it's cut multiple directions. So this allows the team to lay it into the hull mould and perfectly follow the shape. The other good thing with this Divinacell foam is it weighs nothing. And of course, it's totally impregnable to water. So there's no way that moisture can ever in the future get trapped in this foam. Coming then down to the core itself, the stringers, all the strengthening beams that run through the boat, is again a much more modern material, like this diab foam is used, which again is very, very light. I mean, this weighs nothing, but the strength once built into the structure is huge. So again, very strong, very light, and impregnable to moisture. And that's not where the technology stops. So if we carry on over to this side of the workshop, one of the key problems, shall we say, with hand laying is controlling weight, controlling materials, how they're laid in, the accuracy. So what we're able to do now is, working straight from the 3D modeling technology used in the initial design, we can exactly work out resin quantities, gel quantities, as you see here, ready to go in a kit, pre-cut fiberglass and advanced composites. So we're not relying on someone to measure and cut the fiberglass cloth or the advanced composite cloth. It all comes in ready kitted, measured exactly from the 3D model, so it can be laid into place very efficiently and without any waste. So a very, very modern take on a very traditional build method. Okay, so moving from the moulding stage, where we've actually got the moulding of the hull, moulding of the deck, the first stage of systems being fitted out, and then the joining of the hull and deck together, we move from there now into the fit out stages. So fit out 1, basic systems, wiring, roof stays, everything going into place, moving across to where the superstructure goes on, and then right at the far end of the shed, we've then got the final fit out. So 7 stages in total, and as we said earlier, that gives us that 3-month build time. But that's not the end. Obviously from there, she goes outside, straight onto the water for final sea trials and commissioning. So hopefully that gave you a really good overview of how the materials used in the moulding stage, walking all the way through the multiple stages of that back into here, the main build shed. So what I'd like to now do is, we turn back over to Gemma, the interior, the exterior features. I mean, there's obviously been a great jump ahead with the 55. So can you give us an overview of what your thoughts are and what's been changed and the highlights of those?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously the 52 was a hugely popular boat. It had a very functional, practical layout. So what we've tried to do is really build on that practicality, but actually make it into a really beautiful design. So we've got so many nice subtle features. You'll see metal detailing in the dining table, in handrails, and a lot of extra rope lighting, subtle rope lighting built into the furniture. Exterior wise, again, we've got carbon air intakes, making something that's functional actually look beautiful. We've added detailing to the pulpit rails. They're no longer just wire central, they're bars. And I think it's really, really enhanced what was a really great boat, and just made it look great.
So evolution rather than revolution, really.
Exactly, yes. Yeah.
And by the way, what we've actually done is we've used Olivia, one of our interior designers, to actually walk through a Manhattan 55 as she would with a client, to give us some idea of the new change of materials and finishes we're using generically throughout the inside of the 55. Let's go and look with her now at those changes that have been made.
So we'll start up here in the galley, and as you can see on this boat, the client has gone for a combination of woods of the silver oak and the darker smoked eucalyptus. This area is completely personalisable. You can choose your wood finishes in this area and this area, and combine it between the two, or you can go for a solid walnut finish or go solid dark in here to contrast the light tops. On top of that, this galley worktop, the client has gone for a very simple sort of crisp, sleek looking white top. The options are here, so we have our Minerva options in the premium collection, and we do have more on top of this. This just gives you an idea of the array of colours and detail that you can find. And then on top of this, you can upgrade to the luxury collection here, which again, you can see the detail and the colour options that we have. These finishes will also be applied to the other side of the galley area where you've got your fridge storage units and a really good space for your coffee machine. The stone top we can either contrast or match with the galley top, so you can really make a feature of it. So going up into the saloon, as you can see, the finishes again are completely personalisable. You can change the upholsteries, the general linings, again the wood finishes. Something we would definitely recommend is to follow that continued scheme of the wood finishes up into this area. And as you can see, we've got a vast collection of these to choose from. On top of this, we've actually started to introduce a lot of coloured lacquers, which we'll go into in a second. So the main sofa in the saloon here will be sort of your first most important choice. We've just got a couple of options presented for you just to show the colour differences and texture differences. And again, these are completely personalisable. You can go for upholstery, sort of more silky materials, or even up to a leather. And again, we've the option this side as well with the ottoman that can be pulled out and used as an extra seating space to enhance that large dining space we've got here. This can either match the seating, or we can contrast it. As you can see here, the client's gone for something a bit striking, a bit more nautical in the navy finish. And then just going back over to the TV unit side, as you can see, we've got the umber grey lacquer on this one. And as I said before, we're just introducing more of those colours, bringing that sort of contemporary, more modern look. And this can be selected from a larger range of lacquer colours, and you can also have this in the wood finish if that's your preference. So up here, as you can see, we've got carpet flooring. We can upgrade to the wood finish flooring. And along with that, there are some more luxurious wool carpets as well that are offered. But again, the colours and finishes are completely up to your taste. So heading up a little bit further forward, we've got the helm seating. This seating here, again, will be in a leather finish with the contrast stitch detail, as you can see. And that leather is completely transferable. We've got greys, browns, lighter sort of soft white or ivory tones, and that's again down to your preferences. You've got this amazing lobby space here, which you have the lighting coming down from the main windscreen at the top, and it's just incredible how much light this brings into the lower deck. So into the VIP forward cabin. As you can see, in contrast to upstairs, we've got a huge number of finishes in here to consider as well. And this goes from everything from linings and the woods, and this scheme will continue down onto the lower deck level of the boat. So what we need to look at in here mainly is your integral feature, which is your headboard panels, the upholstered ones below, and then the harder sort of square panels above. And as you can see, we've introduced a lot of stainless steel detailing and framework around this just to enhance that sort of really luxurious look. So if we just start on these two headboard panels here, I've just laid out a couple of little schemes just presenting sort of the differences that you can have. Some people really love to go for the sort of warmer espresso tones, and then we've got more of the Mercury and Caviar scheme, introducing blues, nautical blues, teals and everything else. So some people love to enhance the colours and bring the colours onto the headboard panels, but that's fully down to your preference. We can keep it really light and neutral and airy for you, or we can really enhance the detail and bring in that punch of colour as you come down the stairs through the lobby. So this detail then follows onto the bed covers and the cushions, and as you can see here, we've gone for quite a neutral taupe scheme with the bed cover, and then some really striking royal blues on the cushions just to add that punch of colour. So we'll head into the ensuite. The main head here. The wood scheme will follow from upstairs, and what you've got choice-wise in here is to look at the stone on the vanity tops, the stone on the flooring, and then the shower cubicle as well. The client on this boat has gone for a very crisp, clean look again, like they did in the galley. However, the options are there to go for something with a real punch of colour and detail. And again, we've got an array of the standard Minerva options and then the upgrade luxury stones here. And we'd sort of recommend to follow this detail into the other ensuite in the master cabin as well. So we'll run into that in a second. So heading into the twin cabin here, as you can see, the headboard detail is mirrored from that of the forward cabin. However, just a few more details to highlight. You've got the really luxurious contemporary bedside table here with the inlay top. And this again can be chosen from an array of lining materials or leathers. and it just really enhances that detail. And we've started to introduce the lacquer colour here in the centre of the headboard with that light feature. So we'll head into the master cabin and just go into a real detail of the choices down there, because I think this is the most important area on the lower deck level. So as you come in, you've got the storage unit on the side, and this really brings in those lacquers and wood finishes. As you can see, we've got the combination of the silver oak, the umber grey that's lit really nicely behind, and then the darker tops, and then the lacquer brought in around the cabinetry. And as you come round, we've got a really good Art Deco contemporary styling on the lower TV cabinet there. As you can see, the detailing with the architecture of the work with the lacquer. And again, those are completely down to your preference with regards to colours and finishes. They can be made exactly how you want them to be from our collection that I can present to you in the meetings. So on from this, as you can see, the headboard design is relevant to the other cabin spaces. As said before, these finishes here are completely customisable. You can have upholstery, heavy sort of strong upholstery finishes, or more silky materials depending on your preference. And again, the lacquer detailing that we've brought into those headboard panels. As you can see, we've got a slight contrast between the upper lacquer detail with a softer grey, and then the really dark sort of gunmetal strong grey below. So as we sort of move around this cabin, as you can see here, again, these finishes are completely down to your preference. We've got sort of the softer faux white leather inlays here. These can be anything from a darker grey, we can go really crazy and go for a navy blue or something like that, but again, completely personalisable to your preference. And here just showing you again the choices of wood finishes and lacquers that you can implement on your boat. So switching over to the other side of the cabin, we've got the lounging chair, as we call it, the chaise lounge. And this, again, we've gone for a really striking feature on this boat just to bring in that of upstairs from the Ottoman, and it gives that really nautical, strong feel. In this area, you can opt to have a breakfast seating table with 2 chairs and the table in the middle, or a full storage unit. And that's, again, down to your preference, and the finishes will then be relevant and pulled from each area of this cabin. And then just down to the final touches, as you can see the cushions again, we've gone for a very similar scheme as we've seen in the forward and the guest cabin. Again, you can make this completely personalisable, change the master cabin up, go for something a little bit more special, as this is the most important cabin on the boat. And these cushions can be anything from blues, yellows, pinks, purples, whatever your taste is.
So hopefully that gave you a real good bird's eye view of what maybe the clients coming here to Poole would see and do when they go through the interior of their Manhattan 55 or any of the new products, really, seeing those great new materials, where they're used and how they can really personalise that interior for themselves. So Gemma, that was great. I think between yourself and Olivia, you've given us a really good view of all these detail changes, and I think really what's evolved here is just a fantastic new product, taking the good bits, the perfection of the 52, and maybe just perfecting it that little bit more going forward. Gemma, whereas you've just done all that live, Ross, by the other hand, has decided to go and record his section.
I have.
And take us through all the USPs of the 55 Predator. Let's go and have a look with Ross.
Okay, enjoy. And here we are, the brilliant Predator 55 Evo, with a sleek profile, a Predator lines and looks, with signature windows, and these fantastic 316 stainless steel details that just try to show off the profile of the boat. You know, it just looks absolutely phenomenally beautiful. It looks really, really great. The black, notice how we sprayed these Comans as well to try and lower our profile down as well. There's a choice here as well. We can do that in either in silver or black, or just keep it white, but it just keeps that sort of Predator look and lines. Over here we've got the carbon fibre air intakes as a new feature for the 55. It looks absolutely superb. Really nice, really well defines that. And please allow me to show you on board now. Here we are on this brilliant Predator 55 Evo, and as you can see here, we've got this fantastic new transom design with this seat that's sort of been added into the moulding of this boat, which adds another element, another area to entertain and socialise. The whole boat has been designed around socialising. You've got the aft cockpit, you've got the platform, you've got the foredeck, the main deck. It's all about entertaining and enjoying the experience of being on the water, which is what boating's all about. Fantastic new flagstaff design, big cleats, stern docking winches. This boat actually has the social element for the aft cockpit option. So basically there's 3 options for this boat. You can have just a standard design, which will be no social seat, slightly smaller table. And what that allows is transitioning from the port to starboard side a lot easier. This is quite a nice popular option for us, which is the social seating where you've got the forward and aft seat, nice big aft cockpit table, which is quite nice, sit quite comfortably, 6 people. Also what's quite nice as well, you've got this grab rail as well when the boat's underway. Sun pad as well, if I pull this forward, some lovely features design that's been inherited from the Predator 60. One thing I do like about this boat as well is this slight overhang as well, which can allow you to get out the elements. We've got the barista canopy here as well, and also when you're sat here as well, you just sort of see how comfortable these seats are. You know, I'm just under 6 foot, and what I quite like about them is you sort of sit here, my legs are supported quite nicely. It's a nice comfortable place to be. Also, if you look at these outboard windows as well, and how it sort of almost protects you a little bit from the elements. One other thing I may not have touched on as well, the other option, the third option, is the wet bar. So you lose this seat and there's a wet bar option there as well, which will add in a grill, a fridge and an ice maker. We're going to cut inside now and I'll show you around. And here we are in on the main deck of this Predator 55 Evo. And I think really, the interior design of this boat really speaks volumes and speaks for itself. Panoramic windows, a lot of light penetrating here through this sunroof. Great opening back end of this boat, so you've got the best of both worlds where you can enclose the boat or have an open sports boat element. Fantastic social seating area, TV storage units as well, which are rise and fall TV. Ergonomic console with a side opening window, and you can see here the Simrad NS16's Evo 3 displays. Forward observation seating, which is a really nice element and area of the boat, which you'll find a lot of people will congregate to. Let me show you around the rest of this boat now. We're going to go down into the lower accommodation. You've got this beautiful cutout and opening that creates this nice and airy and spacious accommodation down here. So we've got the galley, the main galley as well, Miele appliances. Right, so you've got a nice big refrigerator. And one thing I really like about this galley is how spacious it is. Plenty of worktop space, nice big sink, Miele appliances. And you know, there's an option here for a second fridge or dishwasher, plenty of storage and for provisions. But it's as I said, it's a really nice open and airy boat. One thing I really like about Predators is this lower saloon. It's an underappreciated sort of area. It's an area where you're sort of just getting up in the morning, you can have your breakfast here. Beautiful, as I said, the interior design, as I said, on the main deck, which speaks for itself. Light in detail, nice sort of breakfast table here as well. We can make this high-low as well to form an occasional berth for a small child, which is quite nice. And also there's another option here, you can make this a third cabin or add in another storage unit with a washer dryer. Okay, let's go to the forward cabin. So the forward cabin, again, it speaks for itself. Beautiful interior design. You can see this eucalyptus wood. Scissor berth as well. You've got up here, you've got this opening port light, and then you obviously got the fixed glazing as well, which obviously just allows a lot of light to just pour in naturally. You've got AV here, nice big wardrobe as well. So I'll just open it up for you and just step out the way for the camera. But you can just sort of see, so there's plenty of storage here. You've got overhead lockers as well. Okay, so we've got here the day head, which also is the ensuite for the forward as well. So we've got a double door configuration here for the ensuite, for the forward cabin. But you can see it's quite a nice day head with a nice, good sizable shower. And one thing I really like is the way they sort of design this forward overhead mirror and the way it's sort of like just curved in the glazing there. So coming into the master cabin. So I'm just going to show you the ensuite first. So that leads, here we go, so straight into there. So you can see you've obviously got a nice, good size shower, toilets and obviously sink. Full beam master. It might be worth me actually just pointing out actually these LED lights as well, the way they've incorporated the feature lights into the interior design. And it's been done really effectively and really well. Quite big glazing as well, whole band glazing. So you sort of really get to appreciate the sort of panoramic views you get from this master cabin. Nice big port lights as well, so you can open both port lights up and get a nice view, air to come through. And then also you've got this breakfast seating area just over here on the starboard side. But also as an option you can have a storage unit. Full length mirror, and we've got a storage cabinet, and obviously you've got a nice size double berth just here. Right, okay, so the forward deck area on this boat is a brilliant area. It's a really social area. You've got this nice sort of U-shaped seating. Please excuse the covers that have been fitted, but U-shaped seating, and then basically these outboard ones form sun pads. You've got another music zone up here as well. And then basically it's also worth just noting how wide these bulwarks are as well. So a nice spacious deck. This is the overhead lighting, deck lights for the forward cabin that I pointed out earlier. And then also it's just worth noting as well, this foredeck locker. Plenty of storage there for fenders as well, and they've got little like tie bar they've added in, which is worth just noting. So you can store about up to 3-4 fenders in there quite comfortably. But that sort of really concludes this brilliant boat. I mean, it's a fantastic sports boat. brilliant for socialising, and it's a great performer.
Ross, that was brilliant. I mean, that really highlights the USPs all the way through the Pred 55 and some real dramatic changes. But let's unwind now from all of the specific detail, and it would be lovely to hear from a design point of view first, and then from sales, how you would summarise these two new models in what was the intent, what's the client's feeling. So come on, Gemma, I put the onus on you to start with. What was that design, feeling, intent when you started out on this project?
I think it was really to engage and focus on what the client actually sees at the end of the day, what they can touch, what they can feel, really enhance that. We've always been very good with the quality of parts that maybe the client doesn't see and doesn't appreciate, and we just wanted to bring that through into the rest of the build and really stand out from our competitors. And I think we've got a real buzz about these new designs, not just the Pred and the Manhattan, all of the boats that are coming out at this year. Design are back buzzing about it. You've got the production guys all really enthusiastic, and the passion is really showing through, I think, on these.
That's a key word, what you said there. There's a real, you get that feeling throughout the business, but right from those early stages, there's a passion to make it right, make it better, improve, and ultimately end up with what we see, the fantastic new products.
Yeah, definitely.
And Ross, come on, from a client's point of view, you're at the sharp end.
Yeah.
You're having clients that are coming back year after year. What are they saying to you about the new boats?
Well, I think I think they love the new interior, Sean. I think the new interior design, some of the exterior detailing that we've enhanced and introduced, the bigger engines, the performance. I think there's a lot of excitement around the business at the moment, and I think that's suddenly starting to portray into the world.
And when you say world, I mean, let's face it, we're talking extremities here, aren't we? So
Yep.
It's not just Europe. Huh?
No, we're seeing it in the US as well. We're seeing clients come back, and either what's quite interesting actually, what we are seeing a lot of is the clients who have an existing, say, a Manhattan 52, and then just going into a Manhattan 55, or have a Predator 57 and going into a Predator 60 Evo. So it's quite interesting. You have to ask.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
You're saying that there's enough change in these new boats for people not really to step up in size, just because of new layouts, new features, new options. They're happy to move on.
Yeah, I mean, these boats look absolutely fantastic, and it's just generally, even just the enhancement, the difference it's making, it's just profound. They now have a boat that they go bring their friends on board, their family on board, and their family just going, wow, what is this? The difference is just
brilliant. Look, Ross, Gemma, it's been brilliant talking to you. It's been a very quick insight, I get, but it's really important to hear what you guys think and actually feel from these new projects, because building a new Sunseeker is never easy. We have an integrity, we build on performance, but for other brands producing the same type of boat, it's very easy to dress it with glitz, which makes it appeal. But I think with the new products, what we're seeing now is that passion, the performance, the pedigree built into the hull, into the structure, into the soul of the boat, but now really adorned beautifully with great new materials and great new options. So thank you both for your time.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
And there you have it. What I hope you will all agree was an amazing insight into these two fantastic new models. But that's not the end. For in the coming weeks, very shortly in fact, we will be introducing the launch of the sophisticated charm and exceptional performance of the powerful new 88 yacht. And to leave you with something a bit more bright and sunny than the build shed in the shipyards here in Poole, let's go across the Atlantic and see these two fantastic new models in action where people will love to see them. Thank you for watching, and see you very soon.